You know that feeling when someone invites you somewhere crowded and your entire nervous system screams, "Absolutely not"? That's not social anxiety. That's not you being difficult. That's your brain doing something most people's brains forgot how to do. And by the end of this video, you're going to stop apologizing for it. Let me paint you a picture. This Friday evening, your phone lights up. Group chat. "Hey, there's this incredible new place downtown. It's absolutely packed right now. Everyone's going, you coming?" And in that exact moment, something inside you just shuts down. Not because you hate your friends. Not because you're incapable of having fun. But because your brain just ran the numbers on what that experience will actually cost you, and it decided you can't afford it. And here's the thing nobody tells you. You're not the one with the problem. You're the one who's actually paying attention. Most people walk through life with their awareness dimmed down to about 20%. They have to, because if they actually processed everything happening around them the way you do, they'd collapse from the weight of it all. But you don't have that luxury. Your brain doesn't come with a filter. It comes with a microscope. And while everyone else is casually strolling through reality, you're experiencing it in high definition, frame by frame, every single detail burning itself into your memory whether you want it to or not. Here's what's actually happening. Scientists have a term for this: sensory processing sensitivity. But let me translate that into something that actually makes sense. Your nervous system is wired to notice everything. The slight shift in someone's tone when they say they're fine but they're clearly not fine. The flicker of the overhead lights that nobody else seems to see. The 17 overlapping conversations happening simultaneously that your brain is somehow tracking all at once. That person in the corner whose body language doesn't match their words. The temperature change when someone opens the door. The smell of perfume mixed with sweat mixed with whatever they're cooking in the kitchen. You're taking it all in. Constantly. Involuntarily. Like your brain is running surveillance on reality and there's no off switch. About 1 in 5 people are built this way. Which means if you're in a room with 100 people, 20 of you are secretly drowning in information while everyone else is just vibing. And your brain doesn't just collect this data and forget it. It files it. Categorizes it. Cross-references it with everything else you've ever experienced. That weird interaction you had 3 weeks ago that you can't stop thinking about? Nobody else even remembers it happened. But your brain labeled it as potentially significant, and now it lives in your mental archive forever, popping up at random moments for review. This isn't overthinking. This is your neural network doing exactly what it was designed to do. Recognize patterns, make connections, protect you from things other people are too distracted to see coming. And here's the part that'll change how you see yourself. This trait, this thing you've been told is a weakness, is the reason humans survived as long as we have. Thousands of years ago, while the extroverts were laughing around the fire, your ancestors were the ones who heard the predator in the distance. Who noticed the plant that looked almost identical to the safe one but was actually deadly. Who sensed the shift in the weather before the storm arrived. You come from a long line of people who kept everyone else alive by paying attention when no one else was. You're not broken. You're exactly what kept humanity from going extinct. But modern society, it wasn't built for people like you. It was built for people who can ignore most of reality and call it normal. Now let's talk about what happens when you're actually in a crowded place. Because it's not just about the noise or the people. It's about the performance. You don't hate humans. You hate the theater of it all. In crowds, everyone's wearing a costume. The "I'm so happy to be here" mask. The "I'm totally present in this conversation" mask. The "everything in my life is great" mask while their hands are shaking and their smile doesn't reach their eyes. And you can see through all of it. Every single mask. Every contradiction. Every unspoken truth hanging in the air between what people are saying and what they actually mean. And it's not because you're trying to analyze everyone. It's because your brain can't not see it. You're fluent in a language most people don't even know exists. The language of what's really happening beneath the surface. Psychologists call this high perceptual sensitivity. Your emotional radar is so accurate, you're basically reading people at a level they're not even reading themselves. And this is exhausting. Not because you're judging anyone, but because while everyone else is having one conversation, you're having 3. The words being said, the body language contradicting those words, and the emotional truth nobody's acknowledging. You're doing this with everyone in the room simultaneously. Your brain is translating reality in real time while also trying to participate in it. No wonder you'd rather stay home. There's actual research on this. People who genuinely prefer solitude, not because they're afraid of people but because they choose it, score significantly higher in emotional intelligence than people who need constant social stimulation. Let me say that again. You're not socially broken. You're socially advanced. You're just refusing to play a game where everyone pretends surface-level exchanges are the same thing as actual connection. You'd rather have one real conversation at 3 in the morning with someone who's willing to be honest than attend 50 events where everyone's performing their best version of themselves while dying inside. And that's not a personality flaw. That's you having standards. The issue isn't that you can't do small talk. You absolutely can. The issue is that your brain experiences small talk the way most people would experience chewing cardboard while everyone around them insists it's delicious. Your nervous system craves substance, depth, truth, real connection. And when you're forced into shallow interactions, it's like asking someone who thinks in poetry to get excited about a grocery list. You're capable of it. But at what cost to your energy? To your sanity? To the part of you that actually feels alive? Now here's where your brain gets really interesting. Let's talk about dopamine. You know, that chemical everyone says you need to be happy? Well, your brain has a completely different relationship with it than most people. When extroverts walk into a party, their brain throws a dopamine celebration. Fireworks, confetti,
Instant revoir.
Your brain, when you walk into that same party, crickets, absolute silence. Because your brain doesn't run on dopamine the way theirs does. You run on something completely different. Acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter that rewards you for introspection, for deep focus, for thinking, for being alone. This isn't a malfunction. This is a completely different operating system. Your brain gets its high from internal experiences. Reading a book at midnight when the world is quiet. Taking a walk alone where nobody's asking you questions or expecting you to perform. Sitting in a room by yourself just thinking, connecting ideas, creating entire worlds in your head. While extroverts need external stimulation to feel alive, you need internal space to access your full potential. And neuroscientists have actually found something incredible. Introverted brains have thicker gray matter in the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for complex thinking, planning, abstract reasoning. So when you're alone doing what looks like nothing, your brain is actually doing everything. Processing, connecting, creating, building entire architectures of thought that most people never even touch. You're not wasting time. You're operating at a level most people can't access because they're too distracted by the noise. But here's maybe the most intense part of how your brain works. You're not just sensitive to your own emotions. You're a receiver for everyone else's. Ever walk into a room and immediately know something's off even though everyone's smiling? That's because you have what psychologists call mirror neurons on steroids. You don't just observe emotions. You absorb them. You download them. Spend 1 hour in a crowded space and you're not just managing your own internal state. You're accidentally processing the stress, anxiety, excitement, sadness, anger, and chaos of everyone around you. Like some kind of emotional sponge that nobody asked to be. Your nervous system is attempting to run software for 300 people at once while also remembering to breathe, to respond, to exist in your own body. And then people wonder why you need 3 days to recover from a 2-hour event. Because you weren't just at an event. You were experiencing that event multiplied by every single person in the room. But here's the other side of this. This same thing that makes crowds unbearable is also what makes you one of the most emotionally intelligent people anywhere. You understand subtext. You read between the lines. You know what people need before they've figured it out themselves. Most people barely understand their own emotional landscape. You're out here navigating everyone's emotional landscape while trying to maintain your own. That's not a weakness. That's a superpower most people would crumble under. And this brings me to the most important part. You're not running away from life. You're running toward yourself. We live in a culture that's obsessed with equating noise with success. Busy with important. If you're not at every gathering, posting every experience, surrounding yourself with people constantly, society says you're somehow missing out. You're failing at the human experience. But here's what they don't understand. You've figured out something most people spend their entire lives avoiding. Silence isn't empty. It's where clarity lives. Solitude isn't loneliness. It's where you actually get to meet who you are beneath all the noise and expectations and performances. You're not missing out. You're opting out of a system that was never designed for people who think as deeply as you do, who feel as deeply as you do, who see as deeply as you do. You've discovered something profound that most people are terrified to acknowledge. The quietest rooms often hold the loudest truths. Your peace isn't isolation. It's liberation. It's you choosing yourself over a world that demands you shrink to fit into spaces that were never built for minds like yours. So the next time someone looks at you confused and asks why you don't go out more, why you're not more social, why you seem to prefer being alone, just remember what they're actually asking. They're asking why you don't drain yourself trying to fit into environments that fundamentally contradict how your brain works. They're asking why you won't perform the way they need you to so they feel more comfortable. And you don't owe them that explanation. You don't owe them that performance. You're not broken. You're not boring. You're not antisocial or difficult or too sensitive or whatever other label people want to put on you for not conforming. You're built for depth in a world obsessed with noise. You're wired for truth in a culture comfortable with pretending. And honestly, that's exactly what makes you rare. That's exactly what makes you valuable. That's exactly what makes you you. If this hit different, if you felt seen by this, subscribe to this channel. Because we're going to keep breaking down human behavior in ways that actually make sense. In ways that make you feel less alone in how your brain works. And click the video on screen next. It's about another trait people misunderstand about introverts, and I promise you it's going to feel uncomfortably accurate in the best way possible. I'll see you there.